West Ham make Graham Potter sack decision after Chelsea thrashing and woeful start. Welcome to Football Focus. Hope you're all having a great day. Before we kick off, if you love football, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Let's dive in. Graham Potter's position as West Ham United manager remains secure for now, but the mounting pressure following a dreadful start to the season has made his situation precarious. Reports indicate that the club hierarchy are not yet prepared to swing the axe, but patience is not infinite at the London Stadium, and the former Chelsea boss must find answers quickly if he is to avoid becoming the latest managerial casualty in English football's unforgiving top flight. Friday night's humiliation against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge was a painful reminder of just how far West Ham have fallen in such a short space of time. The Hammers, who once prided themselves on resilience and grit, took an early lead and briefly gave their travelling supporters hope, only to collapse under sustained pressure from a ruthless Chelsea side. The 5-1 thrashing was brutal, and the image of thousands of fans leaving long before the final whistle painted an alarming picture of the growing disconnect between the supporters and the team. This latest defeat followed a dismal opening weekend performance in which newly promoted Sunderland swept them aside in a shock 3-0 victory. To concede 8 goals in the first 2 league matches, and to do so with such fragility, has left West Ham staring into the abyss of a relegation battle. Potter, who was brought in back in January to replace Julian Lopetegui, is under scrutiny like never before. His record, 5 wins from 21 matches, equates to a win rate of just over 23%. In Premier League terms, such a return is unsustainable and alarming, especially for a club that only 2 years ago were lifting the Europa Conference League trophy and dreaming of establishing themselves in the European places. The Daily Mail reported over the weekend that West Ham's board will resist the urge to act hastily, with Potter expected to remain in charge for the upcoming Carabao Cup clash against Wolves and the vital Premier League meeting with Nottingham Forest. However, behind closed doors, contingency planning is likely to be underway. The Mirror's report suggests that should West Ham continue their slide with further damaging results, the club will be left with little choice but to consider alternatives. Football at this level is a results business, and even managers with a strong reputation like Potter cannot be insulated forever from scrutiny when the numbers and the performances simply do not add up. For Potter, the Chelsea defeat was a sobering reminder of his time at Stamford Bridge, where he endured one of the most turbulent spells of his managerial career. There are parallels between his tenure at Chelsea and what is unfolding at West Ham. At Chelsea, he inherited a fractured squad with big personalities, big transfers, but little cohesion, and results never arrived consistently. At West Ham, the squad lacks balance, key players have been sold, and defensive fragility has become their Achilles heel. Speaking after the 5-1 humiliation, Potter's demeanour reflected both frustration and defiance. Incredibly disappointed, of course, with the result. A good start, scored a great goal, and then conceded a cheap goal. And that probably set the tone for the evening. We played a top side, but the manner of the goals we conceded made it impossible for us. We have to do better. We have to dust ourselves down and prepare to play against Wolves. Keep going. Those words were measured, but they also carried the weight of a man who knows the margin for error is closing quickly. The loss of Mohamed Kudus this summer was always going to be a hammer blow for West Ham. Kudus, one of their brightest attacking sparks last season, departed for Tottenham in a move that left supporters stunned and frustrated. Losing a player of his calibre not only stripped the team of creativity and flair, but also signalled to the fans that the club may not be willing to fully back the project in the way many hoped. Kudus' departure has left Jarrod Bowen carrying a heavier burden in attack. And without consistent supply lines, Bowen has looked isolated and frustrated. Defensive reinforcements arrived in the form of John-Claire Todobie, but his presence alone has not been enough to patch up a leaky backline that looks bereft of confidence. The Frenchman was on loan at West Ham last season and made the move permanent this summer, but he too struggled badly in the Chelsea game. West Ham's back four, once anchored by the reliable Declan Rice in front of them before his move to Arsenal, now lacks both structure and leadership. When pressed about the need for further signings in the closing days of the transfer window, Potter opted against issuing a public plea for reinforcements. Instead, he insisted the problem was deeper. "We will always look, but it's more fundamental than that. We have to make it harder for teams to score against us." These comments underline Potter's philosophy, an emphasis on coaching and tactical structure rather than simply throwing money at the problem. But for all his words, fans are not seeing improvements on the pitch, and patience is wearing thin. West Ham's journey since their promotion via the Championship playoffs in 2012 has been one of steady consolidation, punctuated by moments of success such as their European trophy win. Yet the Premier League is relentlessly competitive, and clubs who fail to evolve risk being overtaken. The Hammers are living that reality now. 2 years ago, they were celebrating a historic triumph in Europe. Today, they are in danger of slipping back into the relegation mix, their progress undone by poor recruitment, the loss of key players, and managerial uncertainty. Potter was once lauded as one of English football's brightest tactical minds. His success at Brighton was built on a clear style of play, developing players, and consistently punching above their weight. That reputation earned him the Chelsea job, but his struggles in West London have now followed him to East London. The narrative has shifted from whether Potter can restore West Ham's fortunes to whether he can survive long enough to get the chance. The upcoming fixtures are pivotal. Wolves in the Carabao Cup may provide an opportunity for a morale-boosting win, but cup ties can be dangerous for teams in fragile states. Nottingham Forest in the league is even more crucial. A game that could define the early season narrative for West Ham. Lose again and the pressure will become unbearable. Secure a victory and Potter may buy himself the time he desperately needs. The mood among West Ham supporters is increasingly one of scepticism. Fans who packed the London Stadium in optimism when Potter was unveiled are now questioning the club direction. The humiliation at Chelsea, on top of the Sunderland collapse, has heightened the sense of crisis. Social media is filled with frustration, calls for change, and memories of when West Ham played with spirit and fight. Boardroom patience has often been tested in the Premier League era, and West Ham are no exception. The owners have previously resisted knee-jerk sackings, but they are acutely aware of the financial catastrophe that relegation could bring. Broadcasting deals, sponsorships, and the prestige of top-flight football are all tied to staying in the Premier League. Such, while loyalty to a manager is admirable, the business reality dictates that results must come quickly. The challenge for Potter is immense. He must find a way to galvanise a squad that looks short of belief, fragile defensively, and lacking cutting edge. He must do it in front of a fan base that has already started to turn, and he must do it knowing that the fixture list offers little respite. Beyond Forest, games against some of the league's most competitive sides loom large, making the immediate need for points even greater. There is still time for Potter to turn things around, but the question remains whether he has the tools and the authority to do so. His reputation is on the line, his credibility as a top-flight manager is at stake, and West Ham's season could hinge on the next 2 weeks. For now, Graham Potter remains in the dugout at West Ham. The board are holding their nerve, resisting the temptation to act rashly. But football is a ruthless business, and unless results change dramatically, this uneasy truce between manager, players, fans and hierarchy will not last. The coming days could decide not only Potter's future, but also West Ham's trajectory for the entire campaign. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Football Focus News for more breaking updates, inside stories and club-exclusive reports.